The blue lights of the control room cast shadows across Captain Susan Miller's face as she leaned forward in her chair. The message that had just come through made no sense. She read it again. "This is an invitation from the Galactic Council to the leaders of Earth. We wish to open diplomatic relations. Please respond." Susan rubbed her eyes. After 15 years in space, she thought she had seen everything. She was wrong. "Get me Earth Command," she said to her communications officer, John Peters, "and verify this signal again." The crew of the Earth Alliance vessel Dauntless moved with quiet efficiency. They had been on a routine patrol near Neptune when the message arrived, transmitted in perfect English through a method unknown to human science. "Signal verified, Captain," said John. "It's coming from coordinates beyond Pluto. Nothing should be out there." "Earth Command is responding," added Linda Gomes from her station. "General Harris wants to speak with you directly." Susan nodded. The main screen flickered to life, showing the weathered face of General Frank Harris. "Captain Miller, I assume you've analyzed this invitation?" he asked. "Yes, sir. It appears genuine. We can't identify the transmission method, but it's definitely not human technology." The general's face remained stone-like. "The Security Council is meeting now. Stay at your position and wait for orders." 3 hours later, Susan received those orders. The Dauntless would travel to the provided coordinates. They would carry Earth's first diplomatic team to meet alien life. Ambassador William Carter would lead the mission, bringing a small team of experts. The next morning, Susan stood in the Dauntless's docking bay as the diplomatic shuttle arrived. Ambassador Carter was a tall man with calm eyes and gray hair at his temples. Behind him came Dr. Lisa Patel, Earth's leading expert in language and communication theory, and Alan Jackson, a biologist specializing in extreme life forms. "Welcome aboard the Dauntless," Susan said, extending her hand. "I wish it were under more routine circumstances." Carter smiled. "Nothing about this is routine, Captain. We're making history today." The ship prepared for departure. In her quarters, Susan recorded a message for her husband back on Earth. "Don't know when I'll be home, Paul. Something big has happened. Tell Zach I'll miss his baseball game. I love you both." The Dauntless broke orbit and accelerated toward the edge of the solar system. The diplomatic team spent hours discussing strategy, trying to prepare for a meeting no human had ever experienced before. "We know nothing about them," Carter said during one briefing. "Their values, their biology, their intentions, all complete unknowns." The message was in perfect English, Lisa noted. "That means they've been watching us for some time." Alan nodded. "Long enough to learn our language. That's concerning." Susan listened to their theories, but kept her focus on the ship and crew. Whatever waited at those coordinates, her job was to get everyone there safely, and, if necessary, get them home again. 6 days later, John called out from his station. "Captain, I'm detecting something ahead." On the main screen, a point of light grew larger. It wasn't a planet or a ship. It was a station, enormous beyond imagination, floating in the emptiness of space near the orbit of Pluto. "My God," whispered Carter, who had come to the bridge. "It must be miles across." The station began transmitting again. "Earth Vessel Dauntless, you are cleared to approach Docking Bay 17. Follow the guidance beam. Representatives will meet you." Susan looked at Carter, who nodded. "Take us in, Lieutenant Kyle," she ordered. "Slow and steady." As the Dauntless approached the massive structure, Susan felt a weight on her shoulders. The future of humanity might depend on what happened next. She straightened her uniform and prepared to face whatever waited inside. "All hands," she announced shipwide. "Prepare for first contact." The docking clamps locked into place with a metallic thud. Captain Susan Miller stood at the airlock with Ambassador Carter and the diplomatic team. No one spoke. The tension was thick enough to touch. "Remember," Susan said finally, "at the first sign of danger, we retreat to the ship." The airlock hissed open. On the other side stood 3 tall beings. They had 6 limbs and bodies covered in shiny plates that looked like beetle shells. Their heads held large compound eyes that reflected the humans' faces back at them. "Greetings, Earth delegation," the middle being said, its voice coming from a small device at its neck. "We are the Zorn. We serve as guides to the Council. Please follow us." The station corridors were wide and tall. The air smelled clean but strange, like cinnamon mixed with metal. Susan noticed how the walls curved in ways that didn't quite make sense, as if the builders didn't think in straight lines. "This station is over 20,000 of your years old," the Zorn guide explained. "It houses representatives of over 300 spacefaring civilizations." Alan Jackson leaned close to Susan. "Look at the material in these walls. Nothing we know of could last that long." They entered a vast round chamber. Tiers of platforms formed a circle around a central floor. On each platform sat beings of different shapes and sizes. Some looked almost human. Others were as different from humans as fish from trees. 12 platforms near the center were larger than the others. The beings on these platforms wore elaborate garments that glowed with soft light. "The elder races," the Zorn guide explained, gesturing to the 12. "They founded the Council and guide all members toward peace and prosperity." A being floated down from the highest platform. It had no clear shape, just a swirl of light that shifted as it moved. "I am Sylvarin, arbiter of the Galactic Council," it said, its voice somehow inside their heads rather than in the air. "You are welcomed, humans of Earth." Ambassador Carter stepped forward. "We thank you for this invitation and look forward to peaceful exchange between our worlds." Sylvarin's light pulsed gently. "We have observed your species for many of your centuries. You have progressed quickly from simple tools to space travel. Impressively quickly." Carter nodded. "We are a curious species, and aggressive." Adolver added, "Your history is filled with conflict." "We learn from our mistakes," Carter replied smoothly. "Our recent centuries have seen great progress toward unity and peace." Sylvarin floated in a slow circle around the humans. "The Council offers Earth membership with certain conditions." The light being waved a tendril, and images appeared in the air. Star maps, technology diagrams, medical procedures. "We offer advanced healing methods that will eliminate most human disease. We offer limited faster-than-light travel specifications that will allow you to visit nearby star systems." "And the conditions?" Carter asked. "Simple protections. You must accept technological restrictions in certain areas. Council oversight of military development. Council authority in matters that affect other worlds." Dr. Lisa Patel was studying the star maps with intense focus. "These travel routes are very limited," she said quietly to Susan. "They keep us boxed in." Susan nodded slightly. Something felt wrong about all this. "We offer you the stars," Sylvarin continued, "in exchange for your agreement to join our peaceful community under our wise guidance." Carter smiled diplomatically. "This is a generous offer that requires careful consideration. We will need time to discuss these terms among our team and consult with our government." A ripple seemed to pass through the elder races. Susan couldn't read their alien expressions, but she sensed disappointment. "Of course," Sylvarin said after a pause. "You will be shown to quarters where you may rest and deliberate. We will reconvene when you are ready." As they followed the Zorn guides out of the chamber, Susan caught Lieutenant Kevin Rodriguez, her security chief, scanning the room with a small device hidden in his sleeve. "What did you find?" she whispered when they were in the corridor. Kevin's face was grim. "Energy readings consistent with weapons, Captain, and a lot of them." Susan looked back at the council chamber doors as they closed. The offer sounded good on the surface, but something wasn't right. Why would such advanced beings be interested in a small planet like Earth? And why did they need so many weapons at a peace conference? The quarters given to the Earth delegation were comfortable but strange. The walls shifted colors slowly, and what looked like windows showed views of planets none of them recognized. Dr. Lisa Patel sat cross-legged on the floor with several small devices spread around her. Her dark eyes narrowed in concentration as she worked. Alan Jackson stood nearby, watching the door. "Find anything?" he asked quietly. Lisa nodded. Their translation system has built-in biases. When they say guidance, the root word in their language is closer to control. When they say member, it's more like subject. Ambassador Carter frowned. "So they're hiding their true intentions." "I think so," Lisa said. "I need access to more of their language database to be sure." The door slid open, and Susan entered with Lieutenant Rodriguez. "The Zorn gave us permission to explore certain areas of the station," she said. "I suggest we split up and gather information." They divided into pairs. Lisa convinced a Zorn guide to show her their communication center, claiming professional interest. Once there, she connected a small device to a data terminal while pretending to admire the technology. Meanwhile, Alan wandered through what appeared to be a garden area filled with plants from hundreds of worlds. He struck up a conversation with a small furry being tending to blue flowers. "Your world is new to the Council," the being asked in halting English. "Yes, we're considering membership." The being's fur rippled in what might have been a laugh. "Membership, yes. Like my people. 300 years as members, still waiting for promised technology, still sending workers to elder worlds." Alan leaned closer. "Your people aren't treated well." The being looked around nervously. "Elder races take what they want. Young species provide. This is Council way." Across the station, Lieutenant Rodriguez was methodically documenting every armed guard and security measure he could spot. He counted 6 different species serving as security forces, all carrying weapons that made Earth's most advanced guns look like toys. In another section, Susan found herself in an observation deck overlooking a massive hangar. Inside were warships, dozens of them. She took pictures with a hidden camera in her uniform button. When they regrouped in their quarters, each shared what they had learned. "I accessed their historical archives," Lisa said. "Earth isn't being offered membership. We're being offered vassalage. The elder races have been doing this for thousands of years. They find promising species, restrict their development, and use them for resources and labor." "The garden worker told me the same," Alan added. "His people have been waiting centuries for the technology they were promised." Rodriguez pulled up a holographic display showing the station layout. "I counted at least 50 security checkpoints and hundreds of armed personnel. This isn't a diplomatic station. It's a military base." Susan showed them the images of the warships, and they have the firepower to back up any threats. Carter paced the room. "We need to report this to Earth immediately." He turned to Susan. "Can we transmit securely from the Dauntless?" "I believe so. The Zorn think we're just checking in with our crew." Later, as they walked through the corridors toward their ship, a Zorn approached with a message. "The Council requests your presence tomorrow morning. The Arbiter wishes to know your decision." Carter smiled pleasantly. "Please inform the Arbiter we look forward to continuing our discussions." Back aboard the Dauntless, Susan ordered a complete security sweep. "Make sure they didn't plant anything while we were gone," she told Rodriguez. In her private quarters, she recorded a secure message to Earth Command. "General Harris, what we found here is disturbing. The Council isn't offering friendship. They're offering slavery with a friendly face." She attached all their evidence and sent the transmission through a quantum channel that Dr. Patil assured her couldn't be intercepted. "Now we wait," Susan said to her officers, "and we prepare for things to get complicated tomorrow." That night, none of them slept well. They all felt the weight of what was coming. Earth stood at a crossroads, and the path ahead looked dangerous, no matter which direction they chose. Morning on the space station wasn't marked by sunlight, but by subtle changes in the lighting systems. The corridors brightened from deep blue to soft white as the Earth delegation made their way back to the Council chamber. Ambassador Carter walked calmly, his face showing nothing of the worry he felt inside. Captain Susan Miller stayed close beside him, alert for any sign of trouble. "You've been given time to consider our generous offer," HFY said as they entered the grand chamber. The light being seemed less patient today, its glow pulsing more rapidly. Carter bowed slightly. "Yes, and we thank you. However, we have many questions before we can proceed." A ripple of movement passed through the assembled aliens. One of the elder races, a tall being with 4 arms and skin like polished stone, leaned forward. "Questions delay progress," it said in a deep voice. "The terms are fair. You should be grateful for our interest in your primitive world." Susan noticed how several council members nodded in agreement. She also saw how some of the smaller, less ornately dressed representatives looked down, avoiding the conversation entirely. Carter smiled diplomatically. "We mean no disrespect. We simply need clarification on certain points. For example, these technological restrictions you mention. Exactly what areas of science would we be forbidden to explore?" HFY floated closer. "Weapons capable of planetary destruction. Certain types of artificial intelligence. Advanced genetic manipulation. Things your species is not mature enough to handle responsibly." "And who decides when we are mature enough?" Carter asked. "The Council, of course," HFY replied. "This is for everyone's protection, including your own." Dr. Lisa Patel stepped forward. "And the oversight of our military. Would that include placing Council forces on Earth?" The stone-skinned elder made a sound like grinding rocks. "Observation posts only. Small ones." Carter nodded thoughtfully. "I see. And how many other species have similar observation posts on their worlds?" "All member worlds benefit from our protection," HFY said, avoiding a direct answer. Susan watched the exchange with growing concern. The aliens weren't even trying to hide their intentions anymore. They clearly expected Earth to accept whatever terms were offered. HFY's light dimmed slightly. "We grow weary of these questions. The Council has many matters to attend to. You have 48 of your Earth hours to accept our terms." Carter maintained his calm expression. "That is very little time for a decision that affects our entire planet's future." "It is sufficient," HFY said coldly. "This meeting is concluded for now." As the Earth delegation turned to leave, HFY spoke again. "Ambassador Carter, a private word before you go." Carter glanced at Susan, who nodded slightly. "I'll wait outside," she said. "No," HFY interjected. "Captain Miller may stay. This concerns her as well." When the chamber had emptied of other beings, HFY's form expanded, filling more of the room. Its voice became deeper, more threatening. "Let us speak plainly now. Earth has no choice in this matter." Carter's eyebrows rose. "I beg your pardon. Your planet will accept our terms, or it will face protective quarantine." "Quarantine?" Susan asked. HFY's light pulsed red. "Your system will be surrounded by our fleet. No ship will leave. No communications will escape. Earth will be alone in the dark until you reconsider." Carter's voice hardened. "That sounds like a threat." "It is reality," HFY said. "A Council fleet is already positioned near your world. They await our signal." Susan felt cold anger rising in her chest. "Why? What makes Earth so important to you?" "You humans are dangerous," HFY said dismissively. "Too aggressive. Too unpredictable. Too quick to develop new technologies. The galaxy is safer with species like yours under control." What HFY didn't know was that Carter had activated a recording device in his pocket. Every word was being captured. "We will deliver your ultimatum to our government," Carter said stiffly. As they left the chamber, Susan whispered, "Did you get all that?" Carter nodded grimly. "Every word. Earth needs to know exactly what we're dealing with." Back aboard the Dauntless, Ambassador Carter immediately set up the secured channel to Earth. The recording of HFY's threats was sent along with a full report of everything they had discovered. Now they waited for a response. Susan paced the bridge, unable to sit still. "How long until we hear back?" "The quantum link is nearly instant," Dr. Patel said. But the United Nations Security Council needs time to discuss this. Alan Jackson looked up from his console. Do you think Earth will give in? Susan shook her head. I don't know. This is bigger than anything we've faced before. 6 hours later, the response came. The bridge crew gathered as Carter played the message from General Harris. Ambassador Carter, Captain Miller, the Security Council has reviewed your evidence. All nations agree. This is not acceptable. We will not surrender Earth's freedom to alien overlords, no matter how advanced they may be. Carter's face showed relief. Susan felt the same. Earth would not bow down easily. The message continued. We are activating the Phoenix Protocol. Captain Miller, you should prepare the Dauntless for possible hostile action. Earth is mobilizing all defenses. When the message ended, Carter turned to Susan. What is the Phoenix Protocol? Susan hesitated before answering. A contingency plan developed after we found that crashed alien ship in the Arctic 20 years ago. I don't know all the details, but it involves defense systems we've been building in secret, using reverse-engineered alien technology, added Rodriguez. Technology the Council probably doesn't know we have. Carter nodded slowly. So Earth has teeth after all. Sharp ones, Susan confirmed. The question is, are they sharp enough? She turned to her crew. Battle stations, run all systems checks. I want this ship ready for anything. While the crew prepared the ship, Carter drafted Earth's official response to the Council. The words were polite but firm. Earth rejected all terms and demanded to be recognized as an independent sovereign entity, or negotiations would cease. Dr. Paddle continued her work decoding Council archives. She burst onto the bridge an hour later, excitement in her eyes. Captain, I found something. References to something called the Unbound, species who rebelled against the Council thousands of years ago. What happened to them? Susan asked. Lisa's face fell. The records aren't clear. There was a war. Many worlds were destroyed. But there are hints that some Unbound survived, hiding somewhere in unexplored space. Potential allies, Carter mused, if we could find them. Lieutenant Rodriguez interrupted. Captain, I'm detecting movement. Multiple ships undocking from the station. On the main screen, they watched as Council vessels began to form up in space around the station. Their sleek shapes reminded Susan of predators preparing to hunt. I think they're getting ready for our answer, she said grimly. Carter straightened his jacket. Then let's not keep them waiting. They returned to the station together, a smaller delegation this time. Just Carter, Susan, and Rodriguez for security. The Council chamber seemed colder now, the lights dimmer. Zilverin floated above them, its light pulsing with impatience. Your time is up, humans. What is Earth's answer? Carter stood tall as he delivered Earth's message. The nations of Earth have considered your offer and unanimously reject your terms. Earth demands recognition as a sovereign entity with equal rights to any council member. The chamber erupted with sounds, clicks, whistles, rumbles. As council members reacted in shock, the elder races seemed to vibrate with anger. This is unacceptable. Zilverin's voice boomed. No young species has ever rejected council protection. Perhaps that is why you have subjects instead of allies, Carter replied evenly. Zilverin's light turned blood red. You leave us no choice. The quarantine begins now. Your world will learn its place. Susan stepped forward. Before you make that mistake, you should know that Earth is not defenseless. We are prepared to fight for our freedom. With what? A stone-skinned elder laughed. Primitive rockets. Nuclear weapons. Susan smiled coldly. You might be surprised what humans can do when cornered. The council chamber descended into chaos. Different alien representatives shouted over each other in a mix of languages that made the translation system struggle to keep up. The elder races conferred among themselves, their gestures sharp and angry. Susan, Carter, and Rodriguez moved closer together, ready to make a quick exit if needed. This is unexpected, a soft voice said beside them. Susan turned to see a small being with pale blue skin and large silver eyes. The alien wore simple robes compared to the elaborate outfits of the elders. "I am Nyx, representative of the Krellin," the being said quietly. "What you have done is interesting." Carter regarded the alien carefully. "Interesting how?" "No species has rejected council terms in over 2,000 years, Nyx whispered. "You have created quite a stir." Across the chamber, Tylverin was still arguing with other council members. The light being's color shifted between angry red and cold blue. "Good," Susan said. "Maybe they needed a wake-up call." Nyx's silver eyes blinked slowly. "Perhaps we all did. Not everyone on the council agrees with the elder races, you know. Some of us have been working for change from within." "Reform?" Carter asked. His interest piqued. "We call ourselves the Reformation," Nyx confirmed. "There are many of us, but we must be careful. The elders do not take criticism well." Rodriguez glanced nervously at the continuing arguments. "Captain, we should leave while they're distracted." Susan nodded but hesitated. "Nyx, why are you telling us this?" "Because your defiance could be the catalyst we have waited for," Nyx replied. "The elders maintain power through fear and tradition. If one species successfully resists, others might find courage to do the same." A loud bang silenced the chamber as Tylverin slammed a tendril of light against a wall. "Enough. The humans have made their choice. The consequences are now inevitable." Susan turned back to Nyx. "We need to go." "Use this." Nyx pressed a small device into her hand. "Coordinates where friends might be found. I will contact you when I can." They left the chamber quickly, ignoring the hostile stares from the council's security forces. Once back aboard the Dauntless, Susan ordered immediate departure. "Break docking and move us to a safe distance from the station," she commanded. "But stay within communication range." As the ship pulled away, they watched the council station on their screens. More vessels were undocking, forming a defensive perimeter. "They're not pursuing us," Rodriguez reported. "Yet." In the briefing room, Susan showed the others the device Nyx had given her. Dr. Pottle examined it carefully. "It contains stellar coordinates," she confirmed, "and some kind of encrypted message." "Can you decode it?" Carter asked. Lisa nodded, given time. "But whether we should trust it is another question." Susan stared at the small device. "Nyx said there are others who disagree with the elder races, a faction called the Reformation. Potential allies," Carter mused. "Or a trap." A call from the bridge interrupted them. "Captain, we're receiving a message from Earth. General Harris says it's urgent." The general's face appeared on the screen, his expression grim but determined. "Captain Miller, Ambassador Carter, the Phoenix Protocol is fully activated. All nations have committed their resources. Our planetary defense grid is online." "Defense grid?" Carter asked. Harris nodded. "Based on technology we recovered from that crashed ship. We've been building it in secret for years. Hidden satellites, stealth platforms, advanced weapons systems. Things the Council doesn't know about." Susan felt a flicker of hope. "Is it enough to defend against their fleet?" "We're about to find out," Harris replied. "Our long-range sensors show Council ships approaching from the edge of the solar system. They'll reach Earth in approximately 48 hours. Carter leaned forward. "General, we may have allies within the Council, a group called the Reformation." Harris looked surprised. "Can they help us?" "Unknown," Susan admitted. "But they gave us coordinates, possibly to others who oppose the Council." Harris considered this information. "Investigate, but be careful. Meanwhile, Earth is preparing for the worst. All civilian ships are being recalled. Military forces worldwide are on high alert." "And the Dauntless?" Susan asked. Harris' expression was solemn. "Come home, Captain. Earth will need every ship when the Council fleet arrives." The Dauntless raced back toward Earth, pushing its engines to their limits. On the bridge, Susan studied the data from Nyx's device, while Carter coordinated with Earth's leaders. I've decoded part of the message, Dr. Patil announced, entering the bridge. It contains jump coordinates for 4 locations, plus a simple text. Friends await. Not alone in resistance. Susan looked up from her screen. Jump coordinates. But humans don't have jump technology. According to the Council, we don't, Lisa said with a small smile. But remember that crashed ship. Our scientists didn't just reverse engineer weapons. Carter's eyes widened. Are you saying we have faster-than-light capability? Experimental, Susan admitted. Only 4 ships were fitted with the prototype drives. The Dauntless is one of them. Rodriguez whistled softly. No wonder the Council is afraid of us. We developed in decades what took them centuries. Susan made a decision. Contact Earth Command. Tell them we're going to investigate these coordinates before returning. If these are potential allies, we need to know. 6 hours later, after receiving reluctant approval from General Harris, the Dauntless moved to a safe distance from any celestial bodies. All stations report ready, Captain, Rodriguez announced. Jump drive powering up. Susan felt the weight of the moment. No human ship had ever attempted an FTL jump outside of controlled tests. Execute jump to first set of coordinates. The stars on the view screen blurred, then stretched like rubber bands. A moment of disorientation hit everyone on the bridge. Then reality snapped back into focus, and they were somewhere else entirely. Jump successful, Lisa reported, excitement in her voice. We're approximately 15 light-years from Earth. Susan checked the scanners. Any sign of Council ships? Negative, Rodriguez replied. But I am detecting 3 vessels at the edge of sensor range. Design unknown. Susan opened a channel. This is Captain Susan Miller of the Earth vessel Dauntless. We were given these coordinates by a member of the Reformation. We come seeking allies. For a long moment, there was no response. Then a voice came through, speaking accented but understandable English. Earth vessel, this is Captain Vrex of the Free Ship Horizon. We've been expecting you. Hold position. The 3 ships approached cautiously. They were smaller than the Dauntless, but more streamlined, clearly built for speed. They're hailing us with visual, Rodriguez said. The screen showed a reptilian being with copper-colored scales and vertical pupils. Captain Miller, we represent species who have rejected Council rule. Some escaped before subjugation. Others rebelled and fled. We are what remains of the unbound. Carter stepped forward. The Council is threatening Earth. They have a fleet moving toward our world. Vrex nodded. We know. The Reformation has been monitoring Council communications. They plan to make an example of Earth to prevent other rebellions. Susan leaned forward. Can you help us? We are few, and our ships are small, Vrex admitted. But we have technology the Council thinks lost, and we know their weaknesses. Over the next few hours, they exchanged information. The Unbound provided technical data that Earth scientists could use to enhance their defenses. Susan shared what they knew about the Council fleet. There is one more thing we can do, Vrex said finally. Our ships can broadcast on Council emergency channels. We can reveal their lies to all member worlds simultaneously. A public exposure, Carter said thoughtfully. If enough species learn the truth at once. Lisa was already working at her console. I can help with that. I've collected evidence from their own archives. Susan checked the time. The Council fleet will reach Earth in less than 12 hours. We need to move fast. The plan came together quickly. The Dauntless would return to Earth with the enhanced defense data. The Unbound ships would position themselves at key communication nodes throughout Council space, and Dr. Patel would prepare a broadcast message exposing the Council's history of deception and exploitation. Ready for jump back to Earth coordinates, Rodriguez reported. Susan nodded to the screen where Vrex waited. See you on the other side. The Unbound captain raised a clawed hand. Fight well, humans. Today, we change the galaxy. The stars stretched again as the Dauntless jumped back toward Earth, racing against time to prepare for the coming battle. The Council fleet appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system exactly as predicted. 50 warships, each larger than anything humans had built, moved in perfect formation toward the blue planet. On Earth, Admiral Janet Wong stood in the Global Defense Command Center. Screens around her showed military leaders from every nation, all focused on the approaching threat. Phoenix Defense Grid is at full power, she reported. All stations report ready. General Harris nodded on his screen. And the Dauntless. In position, sir, Janet replied, along with 3 other ships you didn't know we had. High above Earth, hidden in stealth positions, waited humanity's secret fleet. Not just the Dauntless, but 3 sister ships. The Defiant, the Intrepid, and the Valiant. All equipped with the experimental jump drives and weapons reverse-engineered from alien technology. On the Dauntless, Susan addressed her crew. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for the right of all species to determine their own future. The Council believes we're primitive and weak. Let's show them how wrong they are. The lead Council ship broadcast its message to Earth. Attention, human governments. Your representatives have unwisely rejected Council authority. Surrender now and accept our terms, or face isolation from the galactic community. Admiral Wong's response was brief. We reject your ultimatum. Earth is not yours to command. Withdraw your fleet immediately. The Council commander's voice was cold. Then you have chosen the hard path. Beginning enforcement procedures. The massive Council flagship moved forward, weapons powering up. It fired a warning shot that lit up space, deliberately missing Earth but demonstrating its power. Now, Susan ordered. The 4 Earth ships executed synchronized jumps, appearing in a perfect formation around the Council flagship. The alien commander barely had time to register shock before Susan broadcast across all frequencies. Council fleet, this is Captain Miller of Earth. Stand down or be disabled. The Council commander laughed. Your primitive vessels cannot harm us. Perhaps not alone. Susan agreed. But we're not alone. At that moment, Dr. Patel's message began broadcasting across all Council frequencies. The truth about the elder races, their history of subjugation, their lies and exploitation, all exposed to every Council member simultaneously. At the same time, the unbound ships appeared at key points throughout Council space, amplifying the signal and preventing the elders from blocking it. The Council fleet hesitated, confused by the unexpected resistance and the chaos erupting across their communication channels. In that moment of confusion, Admiral Wong gave the order. Activate Phoenix. Across Earth's orbit, hundreds of stealth platforms revealed themselves. A web of defensive satellites and weapons stations surrounded the planet, far more advanced than anything the Council expected humans to possess. When the Council flagship fired on one of Earth's ships, the response was immediate and overwhelming. Focused energy beams sliced through the alien vessel's shields like they weren't even there. Target weapons and engines only, Wong ordered. We want to disable, not destroy. The battle lasted less than an hour. Earth's ships moved with impossible speed, jumping in and out of normal space to avoid enemy fire, while striking with pinpoint accuracy. The Phoenix grid neutralized any attack that got through. By the time it ended, half the Council fleet was disabled, floating powerless in space. The other half had retreated to a safe distance, unwilling to continue fighting what was clearly a losing battle. Throughout Council space, the effects of the broadcast were immediate. On dozens of worlds, subject species rose up against their elder race overlords. The Reformation members within the Council openly declared their opposition to the old system. 6 months later, Ambassador Carter stood before a very different galactic council. Many of the elder races were gone, replaced by representatives chosen by their people. Xylverin was nowhere to be seen. On behalf of Earth, I present our proposal for a new galactic charter, Carter said. One based on equality, mutual respect, and true cooperation. We call it the Unbound Confederation. The new council chamber erupted in cheers and approval. Nix, now one of the new council leaders, stepped forward. The age of subjugation is over, the Krellin declared. The age of freedom begins today. Susan, watching from the gallery, smiled. Humanity had not only saved itself but changed the course of galactic history, not through surrender, but through courage and determination. The stars would not be a place of fear and control, but of discovery and cooperation, just as they should be.